I'm Lander, and I have a story to tell. This is a little bit different than a regular documentary. You might actually find this upbringing a little bit different than everyone else. You're going to be able to see exactly how I got to where I'm at right now, because all you guys can see is the surface level where I'm at right now, but you guys don't know actually how I was able to get to where I'm at today. And this all might surprise you, so make sure you guys watch the whole thing. So let's get into how I'm actually here in the first place. Growing up, my childhood was definitely different. It was definitely not ordinary whatsoever. Born and raised in New Jersey, I was the oldest child, and being the oldest, it was great and it also sucked. Life was definitely not easier when I was younger, and it still is not easier to this day. It definitely gets harder and harder as you age. It was the end of the year, the time that you're the happiest and everything like that. I was sat on the couch and I knew something was up because my mom and my dad sat me down. They usually never do that, and they had a different look on their face. And that point I knew something was going on. And the next thing they told me was they're getting a divorce. And at the time, I didn't even know what that meant. I thought I was going up for adoption. I thought, I was leaving them. But instead, they were actually leaving each other. But fast forward a bit, my mom was able to keep the house, but this was a blessing and a curse because we were forced to give the house away and sell the house because we were not able to afford it at the time. And this was my childhood house. Like, this was the house that I almost grew up in my full entire life up until that point. And I made a lot of friends in that neighborhood, and we had to give up the house and sell it. So it really sucked at such a young age. Then we moved into an apartment, and when we moved into the apartment, my mom had to get 2 jobs just to be able to support us and help her out with like groceries or whatever. And again, at the time, $20 to me was like the biggest thing ever. So it really didn't help a lot, but I tried to help, but it really didn't do anything. But the other thing is, I hated going back and forth. I felt so different, and it kind of made me more different by trying to fit in because I was trying way too hard, and it was just a void in just the back of my mind and in my body that I just could not understand and figure out at such a young age. But that still didn't stop me from doing what I'm doing right now. This is when I started making YouTube videos. I made my first ever YouTube video. It was called Extreme Science. And I know it sounds weird, but this was my first YouTube channel. Little did I know that this was going to be a start of something big. Not extreme science, but starting on YouTube. And at the time, I was excited over a few views. People were actually watching my videos, which was weird because they, you guys can see it right here, the clips. They're not that good, but I still was getting like 50 to 100 views. I think I got my inspiration from ASAP Science. I think that's what they're called. And I remember they were just making animated things and they were just talking about science, and I was just in love with that idea. So I tried to recreate that on my own. So that didn't really last long, but fast forward to about 7th to 8th grade, that's when I made another YouTube channel, and it was my name, it was Lander Schlesinger, but I had a different slogan. If you guys remember me from middle school, I used to be called Slander. My first initial, my last name, and then Lander, Slander. I would be getting into the pranks, haunted house challenge, and I was doing all that stuff back then. I was calling Jacob Sartorius at 3 a.m. I was doing everything. And for some reason, one of my videos hit 10K views. I literally don't know how. I don't know how people, were watching that, but they were watching it. And, that kind of put a spark in the back of my mind that I didn't know that I had, that I really wanted to grow on as time went on. All I did was just use my phone camera, nothing crazy at all. I bought a camera, but I barely used it because my phone camera was just a lot better. And then this is where I started to get into, I would say, the cartel area of my life, where I started a candy business in school. Now, for anyone that remembers that was one of the craziest things that I have ever done in my life, I think. I used to sell candy. So the story is, I saw a girl in school selling candy. So let's just call her Kay. Kay was selling candy in school. So I was looking at that and I was like, she's actually making some sort of money with this. I'm gonna try it too, because I had, a lot of friends in high school freshman year that I could definitely sell candy to, because I see that she's also getting all these people to buy the candy because they're only like $1 per bar and stuff like that. So naturally, I went to Walmart literally the next day and I found a pack of like Skittles, and it was like 10 Skittles for $8 or something, or like $5 or whatever it is. So naturally, I put it on my Snapchat and I said, this is $1 per, and then I told them where to find me. It was in the morning next to a lunch table, and then that literally sold out within like 10 minutes. So I was like, okay, I could really make some money from this. The problem wasn't me actually making money from it, is my competition got mad at me for making money with it. So she actually priced hers lower than me. The next day, I went to Walmart again. I bought a lot more variety of the candy itself. I had the Swedish Fish, I had the Sour Patch, I had everything, right? Anything y'all needed, I had. And then I brought a huge duffel bag to school. I'm talking like an actual huge like gym duffel bag. And if that wasn't sus enough, I was like 4'11" at the time, so it was like half my size. So then again, I posted on my story, and everyone already knew where to find me from before, because I told them that I'm gonna have more candy the next day. They all started literally piling up next to me, and I'm starting to sell out. I'm walking the halls, and people are like, yo, are you the candy man? Because I had the duffel bag. They're like, yo, what you got? I literally would open it up. They take a look inside, and, next thing they know, $1 per. I was doing like $4 for 5 pieces. Like, it was a legit thing. Then Kay got word of it, and she started hiring people to sell her candy, and she was trying to charge cheaper than what I was already doing. The problem was, the people that she was hiring, I was a little bit closer to, number one. Number two, she was only giving them candy bars. I was giving them USD, right? So I started actually paying them plus candy bars for every box that they were able to sell. And you guys can see how that went. I literally took her employees and plus more. So I had like 5 employees working for me. One day, she said enough was enough, and she went down to the office and told on us. And then we get called down to the office, and we're told not to sell any more candy. It was crazy. I was at lunch, and I would literally have a swarm of people trying to buy some candy, and then the teachers would tell people to sit down because there was such a huge crowd. Like, this was the craziest thing ever. I literally thought that I was just owning a candy cartel. And it was pretty crazy, honestly. But, we got shut down. They said if we get caught, then, we're going to get a lunch detention or whatever it was. So I just stopped. Next order of business is phone cases. That didn't really end well. I started selling phone cases, like the Supreme phone cases, the Gucci phone cases. And I sold like 5 and then stopped. There wasn't really a high demand of that. Then I tried to get into like the candy vending machines, and as a 14-15-year-old, you don't really have transportation, so I couldn't really do that. So that pretty much was just flopped there as well. So I was like, what else am I gonna do? Which led me to my next idea, and this was around 2016. I was starting to drop ship, right? So I tried to drop ship over the summer into freshman year, and it wasn't bad at all. I started the drop ship, and I was selling wave rings. Now, at the time, drop shipping around like 2016, it was pretty easy back then. And I had a product that everyone liked. I saw that it was exploding in popularity, so I just started selling wave rings, and I started paying influencers to promote the wave rings. I made like $700 from that, and as a freshman, that was pretty good. I thought I hit the lottery with that. But again, good things have to come to the end, because it didn't really follow through after a couple months. After like 2 months, it didn't really do anything after that. I tried to sell turtle rings, stuff like that, pineapple rings. It didn't really do well, so I kind of just stopped and tried to make a new idea. I got into Christmas stuff and everything, paying influencers, but it kind of just went downhill, and I just cut it. So I made I would say like $1,200 in total from just drop shipping. Now again, I'm basically saving all this money. I'm not really spending any of it, and everything that I learned was just basically on like YouTube. I just learned how to drop ship from YouTube, and then just my own mistakes, just learning from that. But then, my dad saw that I had a little bit of money saved up, and he was like, yo, why don't you invest that into the stock market? And then we opened up a custodial account, and then we just invested some of that into the stock market. I think my first share was Nike. And then I found out that you could actually day trade this kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, and I was literally doing it for fun. I didn't have any money in it or anything, but it was all simulated. I just wanted to like see what's going on. And I think it was like Ninja Trader or something back in the day. You guys can see a clip right up here, and it was literally me like trading Apple shares just for like fun and stuff like that. But that really sparked some interest in me. I'm like, yo, we could actually like do something with this. But it didn't really go that far, because the next thing is I actually started getting an allowance, because I asked my dad, I was like, hey, am I able to get an allowance? And he was like, if you're able to clean up the poop, mow the lawn, and pick out the weeds. Now at the time, I didn't realize how great that was, because you know what sparked from that is something even bigger that I couldn't imagine. So it's like $10. It doesn't sound like, you know, anything crazy, but it definitely was for a bigger opportunity in the future. So I started mowing his lawn. I started getting good at it. So I started going door to door, and I literally had no luck. But there was this one guy in particular, and it was in the corner lot, and it was huge. So I knock on his door, and he's like, you know, I'm like, hey, you know, you need someone to mow your lawn, mowing around this neighborhood and stuff like that. And he was like, I had some teenagers come the other day, and they're gonna be mowing on Thursday. How much you charge? And I was like, how much are they charging? And he laughed, and you know, he was like, no, you know, tell me what you're charging. I was like, 25. Like, just I literally just try to lowball everything. And he was like, 25, deal. When can you mow the lawn? And I was like, what did I just do? But it was, I thought $25 at the time was not bad at all. I thought $25 was good. But then what happened after that, this was another business lesson, is because from that, he actually told his friend about me in the same neighborhood. And then I was able to mow 2 lawns, his and his friend. And his friend, I charged a little bit more, because, you know, this is like the same size house, but so I think I charged like $35 or something, $30. And it was just like the first customers, right? So I just wanted to get started. People saw how good of a job I did, and then I got 2 more customers because of word of mouth. They came over, they're like, hey, you know, you're doing a nice job. How old are you? Because I looked young. I was like, oh, 14. They're like, yo, I like young hustlers and stuff like that. So I was at an advantage there, and I'm doing a good job. I was edging it, weed whacking. I was doing everything. You know, these lawns were actually looking good. Like, you know, I put some care into the lawns. So then, you know, so neighbors came out, and, you know, they're like, hey, you know, how much you going to charge? I looked around their house, gave them their estimate. Soon enough, I had like 8 or 10 lawns within 3 weeks of me mowing lawns. And you know, the lawn equipment, so here's the other thing, I had to make a deal with my dad. He wouldn't give me anything if I used his equipment. And you know, that was an easy, yeah, like, I'll use your equipment, you know, I'll just cut your lawn for free because I'm using your equipment. I'm just paying for the gas. And again, at the time I was 14, I didn't have any transportation, so I was literally strolling the mower with the weed whacker, with the blower, all on top of the mower, you know, with the extra string and everything like that for the weed whacker. And I was just driving that thing down, just walking it from door to door to door. And the way that I had it like set up, I made it so I only had to walk to this section of the neighborhood and just mow those lawns over there. And then if I had any lawns over the other side, I would like walk over there and just like fill those in. And I think I did like Tuesday was the one side of the neighborhood, Thursday was the other, and then like Wednesdays were my days that I was like, you know, if there's a lawn over there that I didn't cut or this. But it was like, it also depended on the temperature, because in the summer it was so hot. Like, imagine mowing a lawn in the summer. And it's not the 0 turns, the one where you're just like sitting down. It's the ones where you're literally pushing the mower. You're weed whacking, you're edging. It's not like fast or anything like that. You know, I took my time. I had to. I was literally walking the thing. So I was out there for quite a few hours, and it got bad once that I literally had to take a break. And I just had to just sit there for like 20 minutes because it was so hot. But then my grades started slacking in school, and I was forced to end the season off and just never mow lawns again. You know, it sucked. I love mowing lawns. It was pretty hot, but it was just, you know, it was something good. I really enjoyed it. And I was forced to stop that because my grades were starting to slip, but I had quite a few money saved up. I think I had like $15,000 to $20,000 from mowing lawns just all saved up within 2 years. So then at 16 years old, I got a job working at Walgreens. And at the time, during all this, I'm still like messing around with stocks. I was just day trading. I wasn't really making any money because it was all simulated, but this is where I started to like venture into that. After about a couple months working at Walgreens, I actually started putting real money into the trading account, and that was blown, so rest in peace. I tried it again, I blew it again, so I just started paper trading. I went back to the simulated funds. And then, after paper trading and then going back and forth, within a year, I wouldn't say I was really profitable, but I wouldn't say that I was losing any money. I was just consistently like break even. So it was kind of good, I guess, but it definitely was better than blowing 2 accounts. And then I quit Walgreens, and it literally had nothing to do with day trading or anything like that. It was literally because my schedule was off and on, and I was like, you know what? I could do better stuff right now. Like, I saved my money. I'm just gonna quit Walgreens. I don't need that in my life right now at 16 years old. And the transportation, I didn't really have transportation because the only transportation I had was my mom. And instead of leaving work around 4 o'clock, she actually had to start leaving work at like 5:30 to get an extra hour and a half of work in. So, them pushing back my schedule to 4 to 10 instead of 6 to 10, really just pushed me to the edge. So I kind of just stopped. Then this is where I get into the part of reselling shoes. Reselling shoes back in the day was amazing. It was pretty easy. At first it was hard though, negotiating and everything. I got taken advantage of when I first got started. I was selling like court purples for like $200 when they were going for like $250 back in the day. Now they're going for like $500 something. I don't even know. But I used to sell shoes for such a steal. And then when I was buying stuff, they made it seem like it was such a great deal. So I really had to do my own research. And then this is when I started networking with a bunch of reselling people in the community. Just a lot of young hustlers, reselling shoes and stuff like that. It was amazing. A great community to surround yourself with. But then one day, it just kept slowing down a little bit. And I was already starting to make some actual money trading. I was making money with reselling. And when I saw reselling kind of slowing down and I saw that I'm actually making like a couple $100s from trading per week, that's when I literally just slowed it down with shoe reselling, and then I picked it up with day trading. And I was making like $300 a week. And at the time I'm like early 17-ish, so I was actually making pretty good money at around 17 at home. I was literally just doing that on the side, I was just having fun with that. Then I made another YouTube channel called Chris and Lander, which I did it with my boy, and that went well. For some reason, during that COVID area, that's when I really started to, pick up on YouTube. We were getting like 5K views every single video, which was not bad at the time whatsoever. I think it was just because a lot of people were, were at home and all they had to do was watch YouTube. But it was a pretty good channel, to be honest. And then on top of that, then we started a clothing company called The Chris, and that went well. We did our first drop. That was also our last drop. But it pretty much did well. We sold out after a couple days. It was not bad at all. But everything is just teaching about business, learning from your mistakes. Every failed business is just more experience under your belt to start something even bigger. But at the same time, I was really making some decent money off of trading. Like, I was making $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 a week. And it was pretty nuts. And then I really just started picking up the pace as I got super confident. And then I started posting it on my story. Like, I literally was embarrassed to post it on my story because, it's just stocks. Like, it's nerdy, right? But I started posting it. And then, I made a Snapchat group chat. I literally had just a bunch of people in a Snapchat group chat. And people were asking me questions. We hopped on, like, live calls for live trading and stuff like that. Like, it was just a community, right? Then someone told me to hop on Discord. And then that's when I got on Discord and I made Stock Method. And, I was just live trading on there, just having a community of people. And now it's where it's at right now, just years of grinding. I went from like $10 days, $50 days to over $1,000 a week. Like, I thought that was the craziest thing ever. And then I just really started scaling up as I got more and more confident. But it's also because I have less responsibilities when I'm younger. So I'm able to scale up at a very quick way and a quick amount because, I don't have a whole family under my belt. If I lose this money, I just start over, right? But people that are like 30, they can't lose that money and they can't start over because they already have a whole family. So it's going to be harder and harder as you get older. But, this is why I'm younger. I'm able to put the amount that I'm able to put day trading. If you're older, then it's going to be a little bit more difficult, and definitely don't compare yourself for sure. Like, all you need is like $500 to $1,000 days, you're really good to go. You don't need these 5, 10, 15, 20K days. And when I get older, I'm definitely going to slow it down as I'm working on my own bot. I'm working on my own auto trader, hopefully getting that set up before I'm 25, 30 years old. But I'm definitely, as I get older and as you have more responsibilities, you have to make yourself less and less risky with certain things, especially when it revolves around money. But you also want to be a little bit more riskier in certain avenues, but maintaining that reward. But I was just promoting the Discord on TikTok and everything like that, and it literally just like blew up. People enjoyed that. People were enjoying the chat. They loved it. So I was like, I'm gonna start YouTube, and then that's when I started YouTube, and here we are today. But it literally was a long journey, and a lot of people don't see what's been happening. All they see is just a surface level trust fund baby. You got money handed down. I remember giving my mom money for groceries, and she'll tell me to, she'll pay me back and stuff like that. But, that was the time of my life. That's what I used to do back in the day. And now I'm able to give my mom $10,000 for Christmas and stuff like that, $20,000. I'm able to help her out now, and she's good now. But before, it was definitely a different story, and, it wasn't easy. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this documentary, and until next time.